Hi, welcome to Excel in Excel, the learning channel. Continuing with our previous sessions, in today's session we'll be discussing on the date functions in Excel, how we use different functions related to the date, and we'll see the challenges of dating with Excel. We will look into these functions first. Today, which basically gives the date of today. Then we look at the year, which extracts the year from a particular date. Then the month does the same thing. It extracts the month from that particular date. Day, it extracts the day portion. And of course, the weekday tells us which day of the week that date is. So for example, if I am looking at the dates which are on Wednesday, I can use a weekday to figure out whether that day was a Wednesday or something else. Then let's put a particular date. So let's put the date as whatever. Let's say 31st December 2023. Now, of course, the format of the date depends on what is the format set. So we can change the format to something else. Now, of course, this recording is being done naturally here, that is in India, and therefore we follow the British date format, that is day, the month and the year. Let's just say a sample date, and let's say what is the date today. So to find out what is the date today, of course I can figure it out what is today's date, or I can also use this function today. Now the advantage of today's function, let me put it in the same format as before. The advantage of using this today function is that if I come back tomorrow and I open this worksheet tomorrow, I'll get tomorrow's date. So whatever is the current date as per the computer's clock, whatever is the date, that is the date which the function today says. Now, if we want to find out what is the year of that date, or what is the month of that date, or what is the day part of that date, we can do that with the year function for here. So if we write the year function and we give it a date, so naturally this was a date of 2023 and therefore the year is 2023, and if I copy it down, the year here is 2024 and it shows the year as 2024. Similarly, if for some reason I need to extract the month from this, then I get the month, and similarly if I copy it out, it will give me the month as 04 or 4. And if I want to find out the day, then the day function works serially. By the way, when we are using any of these functions, you see the help talks about a serial number. Now we'll come to that. So for the day, let's put the day here, and it will give me the 31st. And if I copy it down, it will give me 23rd. Similarly, if I want to know what is the day of the week, is that particular day, I can use the function weekday. Now weekday function again asks for a serial number. So let me take this date, and it asks me for a return type. Of course, return type is optional. So if I don't give a return type, it gives me a 1. Now 1 can be a Sunday or Monday. Similarly, if I copy it here, it gives me a 3. So what is this 3? What is this 1? Now to better understand this, if we use the other option, that is the return type, here it specifically tells me which is that number 1 or number 0, what it basically means. So for example, by default Sunday is counted as 1, right? By default Sunday is counted as 1. So therefore 31st December 2023 it seems was a Sunday. But if I want to specifically give it, I can give that also. So it's 1, Sunday is 1, and therefore 3 basically would mean it's a Tuesday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. But if, for example, I want this counting not from Sunday as 1, but maybe I want, let's say, Monday as 1. So in that case, I can do this. Monday will be 1 and Sunday will be 7. So I give the number 2 here. Now as you can see, it is giving 7 because as we saw some time back, 31st December 2023 was a Sunday. Now in the default mode, it was giving me 1. That is, it counts Sunday as 1, Monday as 2, and Saturday will be 7. I change this format to 2, and once I change it to 2, what's happening here is that it's now counting Monday as 1, Tuesday as 2, and therefore Sunday as 7. So that's how the day of the week works, the weekday function works. So let me get back to the default, and that's how it stands. Now we had noticed that in each of the cases, it was asking for a serial number. So when we looked at the date function, it was looking for a serial number. Any of the date functions actually is looking for a serial number. Now let's understand what that serial number is. So typically, if I take any date, for example, let's say, let me put any date. Let me put a date out here. Say again 31st December 2023. So we get a date here. But if I format this as a number, then notice that it is giving me a number, and that is what the serial number means. So I'm getting a number. Actually 45,291.00. Now what it means? It means that every date that the Excel stores it as a number. And what does this number mean? This number is the number of days passed since 1st January 1900. So if I take the date as 1st January 1900 and now convert the format into number, then as you can see, it gives me 1.00. That means 1st January 1900 midnight. That means when the new year was celebrated on 1st of January 1900, that was the time the count started. What happens, for example, instead of 1, I type in a number 0, right? I type in a number 0, and now I convert it into a date. What does it show? It shows 000100, okay, which practically does not make much of a sense, but it basically says 000100. But if I change this, from, let's say 0.01, I change it 0.01. Now what am I expected to see if I convert it into a date? If I convert it into a date, it shows me again 0001 1900, right? But if I go in the long date format, see, it also has a time. It is basically the fractional part is the time that has passed. So for example, this is 31st December 2023. If I give a 0.5 after that, this would basically mean, if I convert it into a date, and if I look at the long date format, it basically shows 0.5, half a day is gone. So it is 12 p.m. on that day. So for example here, when will this 1 get completed? Let me put 0.4, and then convert this into short date again. Now see, 0.4, that is 40% of the day is gone, and that is 9:36 a.m. So in a nutshell, every date is stored as a number counted from 1st January 1900, and it has an integer part which gives the full number of days and a fractional part which gives the time of the day. So if I just give the date, again let me delete this and then just put whatever number, let's say 45,678. That is this date, and since I just gave a date, I did not give a thing, I did not give a fractional part, it basically just talks about the day. On the other hand, if I convert this back into number and put a fractional part, let's say 0.75, then as we can see, once we convert it into a date, 0.75, so 3/4 of the, 3/4 of the day is gone, that is 6 p.m. in the evening. So that's what we mean by serial number whenever we are looking at any of the date functions. We have looked at these 5 functions. What are the next round of functions that we would want to like? We would like to look at some date and dated if function. Now what are these functions actually. So let's look at the date function. The date function is a function which, if we give the year, month and day, it creates a day out of it. You might be wondering, why should I be interested in a function like this? Because if I already know the year, if I already know the month, and if I already know the day, then I already have the date. Why would I need a separate function for this? Now, to answer this question, let's go back to Excel. Now, what is happening here is this. I have some customer ID of certain customer, and then I have the name of the customer. I have the date of order, and I would have something like committed date and ship by date. We'll come to that later. But notice one thing. Here, for all of these records, I have the date. From here, it's difficult to understand what is the format of the date. So, for example, as I told you, my computer is set in the date format: day, month and year, DD, MM and YY. So, this is the format in which my computer is set. But 12/31/2021 is not a date in my computer format. So, just let us expand the column. Once you expand the column, something interesting comes up. As we can see that we have certain numbers or certain dates which are right aligned. On the other hand, we have certain other dates which are right aligned. So, left aligned and right aligned. Now, what does it mean? In the previous video, we had seen that texts are left aligned while numbers are right aligned. Just a few minutes back, we had convinced ourselves that the dates are actually internally stored as number. In other words, now what has happened? This date and this date, my computer hasn't understood it as a date, and therefore it has stored it as a text. On the other hand, it has understood these four as dates. While my computer has understood as a date, but if I had taken this data from somewhere else, most possibly my computer got it wrong. My computer feels that this is actually 7th August 2020, but who knows it, because certain date formats were in month, day and year format. Possibly this was also the same. Possibly it was actually 8th July 2020 and not 7th August 2020. So therefore, just because certain dates are understood by my computer as a date and certain are not, does not mean that the one which are understood correctly is correct. Because I have a confusion here, I am tempted to think that wherever I am copied the data from, they might have followed an American date format maybe, which is month, day and year. And therefore, we need to correct it out. Now, because it is stored as a text, if you had seen my video on the text functions, since these are stored as a text, I can extract the month, I can extract the day and I can extract the year. And after I have extracted this, I can use the date function and convert them into a date. So, as I said, dating with Excel has its own challenges. Therefore, whenever I handle date, for example, somebody gives me a data set like this and I have certain dates. So, the first thing that I normally do is I expand this column to understand whether my computer has understood those dates as dates. In this case, the answer is on the negative because it has not understood all the dates as date, and whatever it has understood, it might have understood wrongly. So, the question is, how do I get this corrected? So, what I can therefore do is, let me insert and let me try to get the year out of it. Let us extract the year out of it. So, as we had seen in the text function, we can use the right function here, and we take this and take out 4 characters from the right. I have got the year, but again this is stored as a left align. That means it is still looking itself as a text, and in the previous video we had talked about the value function. So now let me put the value function here, and This therefore becomes the year. So I have extracted the year. Now let me copy this and see if I can extract the year of all of them. Unfortunately, I could not. It's interesting, see this. In this case, as you can see, it has become 5051. How on earth this became 5051? 5051 is not here. Okay? What's the magic? Let's look at the magic. What is the magic here? The magic here is that since my computer, maybe wrongly, understood this date as a date, it has internally stored it as a number, and therefore when I convert this into a number, it is 45051, and therefore 4 characters from the right is 5051, and that's what it has taken. So the moral of the story, the text functions will not work on dates. If the dates are stored as string, well and good. But if the dates are stored as a date, however wrongly it might have been interpreted, but as long as my computer stores them as a date, I can't use directly the text functions. So how do we solve this problem that we got ourselves into? To do this, let's insert a column here, and let's insert a text function. What text function does, it takes a value and puts it in a format. For example, my computer format is dd YYYY. So what it does, it will take a value and it will convert it and put it in this format. However, if C7 in this case, because it is already a text, nothing would change. It looks exactly the same. But that means what happens here, that if this C7 was a number, then it would have figured out the dd YYY format. But because this was not a number, it took the value as it is. But then when I took it here, because my computer has the first one as the day, then the next part is the month, and the next part is the year. So when I gave the format as dd YYYY and text function returns a text, so what has happened, this date is now stored in a text format as well. And therefore when I copy all of them, as we can see, what I have got, all these numbers, all these dates became left aligned. That means they are all in the text format. Now once I have got them in this format, let's call the date in text. Now once I have got it, and because we already knew that the original data was in the YYYY format, now nobody can stop us from considering first 2 digit as the month, next 2 digit as the date, and the last 4 digit as the year. So please note once again, when I gave the function here, I did not give MMDD YYYY. If I had done that, I mean, let me do that for you and let's see what would have happened. Now mind you, let's look at this date. This date, what we are saying is that it is 8th July 2020. That's what we are saying that this date is, right? We are saying that this date is 8th July 2020. However, because we are saying that the data from where we had taken this, that particular data, the date format was in the month, day and year format. However, if I had changed this here and if I put DD format, for the first one again nothing will change because this was not a number, but see what happens for those which are a number. See which are a number. Now since I said it has to be month, day and year, it has converted this date because in my computer it understood as a date. And what it was looking at, it was looking at this as the day, this as the month, this as the year. Now when we instructed it to convert it into a text month in front, it has got 08 as the month, which it understood here, and then 07 as the day and 2020 as the year. But that's not what we want. So therefore, let us give the format as per our computer, that is DD YYYY. So let us keep it as per our format and our computer format. So what's important is let us give it as per our computer format so that we do not give credence to this date that our computer has got wrongly. So what we basically did is we told our computer, fine, you had understood it as 7th August 2020. We tell our computer, you are right dear, it's okay. We take that 07 is the day, 08 is the month and 2020 is the year, but please convert it into a text. Now that is what we have done. Once we have done this, we go back to our prior knowledge. Our knowledge was that the first 2 digit was the month, next 2 digit was the day and the last 4 digit was the year. So now what we can do is we can get the year as right of this comma 4, and we could do for all of them, we would get the year correctly now. Similarly, we can get the month, which is the first 2 digits, and we can get the date, which are the remaining 2 digits. Therefore, our date of order in date format. So our date of order on the date format, I can use the date function now. Now date function expects the year at first. We know how to extract the year. Right of this comma 4. Next it expects the month. We know how to extract the month. Left of this comma 2. And lastly it asks for the day, which we can extract it using the mid function. Mid of this starting from the 4th position 2 characters. Now therefore, once we do this, we get the date, right? We got the date, and somehow my computer is taking 2-digit format for the year. Let me change it to 4-digit format. There we are. So as you can see, we have got the dates, and therefore see this date. This is now 8th July 2020, as we had discussed before. So we had all got the date, and the date are now in the date format. So please note that if the date is not in the date format, our date functions will not work. For example, if I was trying to give year function with this date, okay, I get an error because this is not a number. This was a text, while this was a number. Now therefore, whenever we are working in spreadsheet with dates, the first and foremost thing to understand is, are those dates stored as date or they are stored as a character? If they are stored as a character, it's not going to work. So as we can see, there are 3, this one, and this one. These 3 were stored as text, and the remaining ones, though they were stored as date, but they were misinterpreted by my computer. So I needed to convert them. So I believe this is one of the more challenging tasks that we handle while we work with date in any spreadsheet. The dated if. What it does, it basically gives us the number of year, month or day which would have passed between 2 dates. To understand how dated if works, let us put in a date here today. For example, the today's date as today. And now I use the dated if function, dated if, and I look at this date, that is 1st January 2023, and I look at today's date, and I want to figure out how many months have passed between these 2 dates. So the first date, the second date, and M standing for month, it tells me that 15 months have passed. So if we look at this, if we look at this, what's happening here is this was 1st January 2023 and this is April 2024. So the fractional month is not considered. So up to January, 1st January till 31st December, we had 12 months, and then January, February, March, so we have 15 months altogether. Let's also see if we give this date as the first and this date as the second, and then we want to see how many months have passed since then you see I get an error. Now why I got an error? I got an error because the first date needs to be the initial date, the earlier date, and the second date needs to be the later date. When I interchange them, it didn't work. Dated if, this is the older date, this is the more recent date, and we have the month, and there it is. Similarly, if I am not looking for the month, but I am looking for the number of days that has passed since, I can actually write a D, and this is the number of days. And if I want to put in year, for Y for year, it tells me how many years have passed since then. Let's now look into these two functions, Workday and Workday International. What happens is Workday tells us that what will be the date. For example, 30 workday from a particular date. Of course, it is considering the workday, therefore it is not considering the weekend. And if there are any holidays, that will also be considered therein. We have another version which is Workday International. So let's look into this, what it basically means. Continuing with our same worksheet, let's say the committed date for delivery to the customer is, let's say, 90 days from the date of order. But let's say it is 90 working days. So what is the date for which we have committed for the delivery? We can use the function workday. The start date is this and the number of days is 90. So what is the date? 90 work days from that particular day. This is the date. We are seeing the date value. So let's just convert it into the date format and we will see the date. So what's happening here is this. We are basically being able to see the date 90 working day from 31st December 2021. What it did? It basically did not count the Saturdays and Sundays. So now I have put in a holiday calendar. Say these are the holidays of my organization in the year. And previously we had got the date of delivery, the date of committed date of delivery, 90 working days from the date of order, and therefore we found that date to be 6/5, that is 6th May 2022, which is counting only the working days, weekdays, since 31st December. Now because I also have certain holidays, let me include the holidays here. Now what I need to do is I need to enter all the dates in my holiday calendar into this function. Doesn't matter whether they are within this range or not within this range, they will automatically adjust. Now therefore, I now get the new date of committed date of delivery as 11th May 2022. Previously it was 6th, now it has become 11th. Only 3 holidays were there in between these dates, that is between 31st December and 11th May. I had only these 3 holidays. So 6th May should have changed to 9th May. Any idea why it changed to 11th May? No? Okay. Let's undo and let's see. Previously, before we added the holiday, the delivery date was 6th May. But what was 6th May? If we use the weekday function we learned some time back, 6th May was a Thursday. Sorry, 6th May was a Friday. That is 6. 7th would have been Saturday. Now therefore, moment I put 3 more days, 6th will become 9th, but 7 and 8th are again weekends. So therefore 2 more days gets added up. So these 3 holidays plus a weekend, that's what adds up, and therefore we get ultimately 11th of May. So I think, though not intentional, but this example became pretty nice to work on. And therefore now if I copy this here, as you can see, I have got 90, sorry, I needed to make this absolute because now the holidays are changing. So because I had copied it out, but if I look at this and if I look at the holiday calendar, as you see, it has come down. So therefore what I needed was, I needed to make this dates absolute. That means let's go here and let's make these dates absolute, and then copy them down so that my holiday list doesn't get changed, doesn't get dragged. So now in this case also the holiday list remains the same. So now what happens if this was somewhere in another country where Saturday, Sundays are not considered as weekend, but let's say Thursday and Friday are considered as weekend? In that case, in the workday function, of course, in the workday function, the Saturday, Sundays are considered as weekend. But if we want that adjustment, we have a workday international function. Now in the workday international function, first we need to give the start date, number of days, and then we need to give what is the weekend. So first we need to give what do we mean by the weekend. So weekend can be Saturday, Sunday, which is by default, but we said in this case we are saying Thursday, Friday is the weekend. So we put Thursday 6, which is standing for Thursday and Friday as the weekend, and I put this as my holiday list once again and make it absolute address. Now there you are. Moment those dates change, as you can see, from 11th May, now it has become 8th May, because this time the weekends are different. So that's the workday international function. Let's say while these were the committed dates of delivery, we shipped this out on, let's say, 12th April 22. We shipped this out on let's say 7th August 23. We shipped this out on, let's say, 12th April 24. And let's say we have shipped this out on 15th May 24. We had shipped this out on, let's say, 1st of November 2020. We had shipped this out, let's say, on 1st of September 22. And we had shipped this out on 1st January 24. And for this, we had shipped this out on 28th April 23. Again, let me just change the date format to 4 places of decimal. Now if I want to figure out how many working days did I take, okay, how many working days did I take from my date of order to the shipping? Now this is a reverse question of what is the date after a work day. So here what I am looking at is how many days have I used. For that, what was the days to ship that I took from the date of order? Now that is the net work days function. Net work days function allows me to calculate number of days between two dates, number of working days between two dates. So I have the first date, I have a second date, I need to find out how many working days were there. So net work days. The workday function, we had one date, we had number of work days, and we wanted to know the new date. In the net work days function, we have the 2 dates, we want to know how many work days were there. So we give the start date, we give the end date, and so there were 73 working days between the date of shipping and the date of order. But then here I did not provide the holidays. So let's again include the holidays as we had done last time. And therefore, therefore, including the holidays, there were 70 working days that I needed to ship given this date of order. And just like net work days, where Saturday, Sundays are being considered as holidays, but in the committed date, we had considered Thursday and Friday as working days, as weekends. Thursdays and Fridays as weekend that's what we considered recently. So if we want to implement that here also, we have an international version, INTL. So in network days international, in this case what it wants before the holidays, it wants to know what is our weekend. So again, as we said, Thursday and Friday is our weekend, and then we give our holiday list and we make it absolute, and there we are. So using Thursday, Friday as weekend, I needed 72 days to ship out, and similarly I can figure out for others also. So that's typically the functions that we were planning to discuss today. So to sum it up, we have looked at some basic date functions like month, year, day, weekday, today. Then we looked at functions how to convert dates if they are stored as a text format or if they are stored in a different format. If my spreadsheet does not understand the dates as dates, how do we handle them? That's something very, very important, and that's something that one faces many times when people are taking data from one place to another place, or providers sometimes we are copying the data from another file to here or from a web page to here. We might get this pretty frequently, and so dating with Excel, as I said, has its own challenges. Then we looked at the workday and net workday functions, and we also looked at the international version of those where we could specify what the weekends were. So that will be all for today. Keep learning till we meet again, and excel in Excel.